Last satsang, we were studying the 9th mantra, how the mind is the medium through which the unmanifest Brahman manifests into the world. The prana, the singular prana, which is the pure consciousness, expresses through the mind and operates through the 5 pranas. And we need to use the same mind to trace back, to get back to the origin, which is the singular prana, which is the consciousness. So the pure consciousness through the mind creates the world, the individuality. The individual needs to use the avenue of the mind to get back to the self. And what do we need to do to the mind? Vishuddhe vibhavatyesha atma. Yasmin, in whom the mind is purified, the self automatically reveals. Vibhavati yesha atma. I'm just giving a quick recap. When the mind is purified, the self reveals. And then we explain the concept of purification of the mind. The purification of the mind is we understood it as developing a sense of Vairagya to the world, where you drop the world from your mind. And we said Vairagya is a destination, a journey. To attain Vairagya is appreciation of the higher. And then we gave a question: what are the ways one can check one's Vairagya? What are the ways? What are the quality control or checklist? Now it's understood in order to test your Vairagya, when we say Vairagya is the destination, understood you must be in the journey. If you have not started a journey, how would you know how far am I close to the destination? The question of reaching the destination or how close you are doesn't arise when you have not started the journey. So the sadhana of dealing with the desires, the sadhana of trying to checkmate the desires, the sadhana of trying to eradicate the desires is primarily done through the performance of the 3 yogas, the karma, bhakti, jnanam. So when you constantly, this is the journey. The sadhana or the journey is the constant performance of the 3 yogas, the karma, bhakti, jnanam. Where when you perform the 3 yogas according to your personal requirement, it results in changing the transformation of the vasanas or desires. The complexion of your vasanas or desires change. Unless and until, remember, unless and until you're performing the karma, bhakti, jnanam, there is no spiritual transformation. This is the 3 primary highways to your goal of self-realization, the freeways. If you don't travel on the freeways, you don't get to your destination. These are the only roads that take you there. Karma yoga is to constantly perform unselfish, selfless actions. How unselfish can I be today? than what I was yesterday? How selfless can I be than I was yesterday? To constantly raise the bar. Bhakti yoga is to detach yourself from anything worldly and let your mind develop a flavor to God. Jnanam is to develop that awareness between the eternal and the ephemeral. So these three, if it is injected into your action, into your life, that's when there is a result is transformation to your desires. And once one who is doing this, to him, to such a person, the question is relevant. How do I know how much Vairagya I have developed? Because Vairagya is a dispassion to the worldly desires or the worldly happiness. If you are not doing this, you're unfit to answer the question. So whoever is attempting to answer the question, I understand, it's understood that you're practicing. Those who are not attempting doesn't mean you're not practicing. I'm just saying your spirit must attune to the subject. It's not the empty words. Whether does it really ring a bell? Does it really resonate with you? That's important. Because the rest of it is just male academic. Because we have discussed this at various times. So how does one test one's level of Vairagya? SR, you are with the concept?
Yes, Guruji. When we say how does one test one's Vairagya, I think fundamentally we should check ourselves with a reflection. We need to reflect. One has to reflect about his actions, whatever he's been performing. If I go by the day of actions, because so how is your the days the way you last perform, how is your actions are oriented towards selfish or unselfish or selfless?
Reddy, if I may interfere, the question is, how does one examine one's level of Vairagya? And Vairagya is with reference to the desires you possess.
Yes, Guruji. I understood. My point coming to that point is that unless we start looking at ourselves, okay, because fundamentally we're talking, how does one test one's Vairagya? So the moment when we're talking about the testing of Vairagya, as the qualities of Vairagya is clearly defined. Where are we towards those qualities? Our actions are towards that. Is the one where we need to, in my perception, it could be started with a reflection. Like we say, desires. Like how many desires I had it today. I'm going by the quantitative manner in where you quantify the checklist. Like what is the checklist to check the Vairagya? So like I say that I have today I performed some of the actions which could be of more of selfish and more of like unselfish. So where I can able to see whether I'm able to drive my journey towards Vairagya or I'm away from the Vairagya is the where I need to get correct myself if I'm more oriented towards the Vairagya. That's where I thought of. Maybe it's not a direct answer to the checklist of points.
Yeah, it doesn't give the clarity.
Yes.
Because we need to find out whether the desire is there.
Yes, I agree.
If there is there, to what strength is there? Considering you have been away from the world working on your desire. So you can't be in the marketplace and work on your transformation of the desires. That's the first point. Sadhana is to be away from the stimuli of the world. You can't be giving yourself the constant stimuli of the world and say, I'm practicing Vairagya, or I'm trying to change the complexion of my desires. You can't do that.
So first of all, we get a zero scoring, Guruji, there itself.
That's why I said, a precursor, the precursor to answer this question is, whether am I performing the karma bhakti jnanam? Am I doing the spiritual sadhana? Only one who does spiritual sadhana, to him, it reflects in the transformation of the vasanas or desires. Otherwise, there is no change.
That's true. That's true.
So it's not being subjective here, but I'm trying to be very clear with the concept, how that the vasanas only change. Vasanas is the spiritual dirt. It's not easy to remove them. It's not easy to change the complexion. So one has to put in serious effort. And the real effort is the spiritual sadhana, which you do in a conducive environment. You can't, it's like I don't give you the conducive environment for business to flourish. How will the business flourish? When the environment is not conducive for you to do business, how will the business grow?
Yes.
It doesn't grow.
It doesn't grow.
Similarly, I need to create a conducive environment for me to perform the sadhana, where I'm attempting to change the nature of my mind. That is when the nature of the mind changes.
So definitely that's Guruji. We are being windswept with worldly affairs. So we are not finding, I said, energy, resource, or time. Are not finding, but definitely the focus is not towards sadhana.
Yeah. Yeah. If that is there, then it doesn't really, may not. It's only cosmetic.
Yes, perfectly right.
Okay, right, sir.
Yes, Guruji.
What is this but to Guruji? అప్పుడే బట్ వచ్చిందంటే అర్థం కాదు. UK.
Guruji, you were just now saying that there should be a conducive atmosphere. You cannot be facing the world day in, day out, and then try to attain Vairagya. But then again, does it not resemble to the rishis who were going into the forest and performing the tapas instead of being in the world? Is it
no,
not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to do tapas, you want to change. They have performed, or they performed intensified tapas. They took the tapas to a different level. Therefore, they brought about that kind of a transformation.
True. But in our case, we cannot run away from the world, run away from the life we are leading. No, Guruji. Then
that's an excuse. It's a perfect justification. You don't tell me that you are performing your duties and responsibilities with 100% detachment. No.
No, it's not possible.
Therefore, you want to cultivate detachment. What should you do? To sadhana. Sir, I am not having opportunity to create sadhana. Therefore, I remain where I am. You want to develop detachment to the world you are living in. You get yourselves away from the world. Develop the strength and go back into your world and see, have I developed? That is what the checklist is. The checklist is, how do I know whether I have developed Vairagya to the world I'm living in? To my desires, to my attachments. Do I have the same level of attachment or I had 6 months ago or 1 year ago? in the last 6 months, I've been working on myself to improve myself.
Yeah.
It's like you go to a doctor, get your
Prescription.
get all your tests done and your reports come and show a certain sign of ill health. Doctor says you have to bring about a change. Do you want to reverse your health for the better? You say, yes, sir. Thanks, doctor, for the advice. I will work on myself. I'll change my diet, my lifestyle, my habits, etc. I do. And he says, come back after 3 months again with reports. There's nothing alarming, but if you continue, it might lead you in a desperate situation. No medication, change your advice. Now, 3 months you worked on yourself. After 3 months, you take the reports and go back. That's what doctor says. Oh, yes, there is a distinct change for the better or for the worse. Depends on what have you done for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I'm only saying the report after 3 months. What's the checklist?
Okay.
That is the Vairagya.
Okay.
The checklist to test what is the level of your attachment or detachment to the world that you're living in. Okay. But you should have worked for 3 months. If you don't do anything, if you don't do anything, it will deteriorate.
Yeah.
Even to maintain your exact same health, you must be active.
Yes,
I
understood.
If I'm not active, it will deteriorate.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes. So no more butter. Thank you. Yes, Harish.
Guruji, I want to share my answer along these lines. Can you hear me, Guruji?
Yes, yes.
The answer I came up with, Guruji, is to have a conscious process of withdrawal where it does not serve us. So we practice some level of abstinence. So each time we analyze our thought, deed, and action every step along the way. That's the answer I have. I don't know if that's relevant to this question.
Can you come again on that, please?
Yeah. There's a conscious process of withdrawal where it does not serve us. So we practice some level of abstinence and we analyze our thought, deed, and action every step of the way.
And by this, how would you know your level of detachment to the world?
Based on the temptation or the addiction with the world, whether the objects or beings. So if we are feeling some kind of a void or some kind of feeling that we're missing out, then we know that we are not strengthening. But if we don't feel that our abstinence, we are not missing the world, we don't feel we're missing anything, then we know that we are heading towards a higher goal. Because there's no addiction or a desire or a feeling that I'm missing out anywhere. I'm very contented in my own space with my growth. So I use that tool as a measure where I don't have a desire or an addiction rather to feel that I'm missing out in the world.
Right. I think you do have a valid point, but I would want to put it structurally. If you put it structurally in a step-by-step checklist, then you will find your point fits into one of the points, that you have a valid point. Right. Thanks, Harish. Yeah, Setuji.
Checklist for lower for dispassion for lower qualities is first is desire for the lower quality, and second is availability of the quality or object or product. And third is ability to enjoy the product. And fourth is capacity to procure. So we go through this checklist, and I have done in my this thing. I can list out my lower tendencies which I have.
Don't have to.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be a personal thing, please. It's a subjective evaluation. You don't have to make it a public thing.
Yeah.
It's meant for self-analysis, please. Okay.
Desire, availability, and then capacity to procure, and then ability to enjoy.
You hit the nail on the head. Absolutely right. I'll explain this clearly little more, but you're perfectly answered, Chituji, the 4 points. Let me hear from others. Yes, Hariji.
My degree of positive or negative mental agitation based on my positive or negative experience, that is the measure of my degree of detachment or degree of attachment. How much my mind is getting. If I lose a pen, my agitation will be less. If I lose a diamond, my agitation will be more. That is the measure, that is the main measure of the degree of my detachment or attachment or Vairagya.
Okay. Not wrong. Thank you. Yes, Subhashi. Namaskar, sir.
Guruji, according to me, what I have learned from you all, that it is a ladder of fall. One should know the checklist of the ladder of fall, which involves ego, anger, desires, likes, dislikes, and attachments. These are the ladder of fall, and we have to practice to get rid of these slowly and slowly. And we have to establish ourselves for the ladder of rise, which is karma, bhakti, and jnanam. Karma is also can be done by physical, by speech, and even by mental also, mind also. So we have to together, we have to combine all these things, that our karma should be selfless, our speech should be harmonious, and our mind should be totally attached to the looking forward for the higher. So similarly, bhakti and jnanam is also important, and because if we won't have the bhakti, we won't be able to purify our mind. So bhakti and manan is also, that is the jnana. But I feel that if we practice these, so we are going towards the Vairagya.
Guruji, you have muted yourself.
Yes. Sorry. You're right, Subhashi. But you're trying to emphasize more on the elements of sadhana. But the question is, how do I measure the level of sadhana, which is the ladder of fall, which is to check how much desire I've got, how much attachment I've got, and so on, which the ladder of fall does mention. But how do I test my level of desire and attachment? For example, just take an example. If I am extremely attached to my child, or extremely attached to my home, or attached to my money, or attached to my name or fame, has there been any change to my attachment to my money.
Yes,
Don't
slowly we have
let
to
us.
practice.
No.
Slowly we have to practice.
You can't. That's what I said, sir. If you recall, I said you can't practice detachment to money. What you practice is the sadhana of karma bhakti jnana. There is no sadhana beyond karma bhakti jnana. There is no other yoga which can bring about a transformation other than karma bhakti jnana. These are the Vedic declarations. These are the main highways to spiritual transformation. And I repeat, there is no other yoga other than karma bhakti jnana.
Yes.
Many other yogas have surfaced today, thanks to the modern gurus, but you can't replace the traditional prescribed paths the scriptural injunctions have given. The Vedas are authority. So anything that these Vedas give, they are the highest declarations of truth. So this is the main sadhana. So when I do the main sadhana, then it reflects in the transformation of your desire and attachment.
Yes.
So I know, I'm just giving an example. I am attached to money. If that's the example, if that's a fact, has there been a change in my degree of attachment to money or wealth? Has it become worse or has it become better? Or have I developed 100% detachment to wealth? So that test is possible by what you said is the sadhana, which you have rightly reiterated, as you mentioned it. But the actual test is where we were trying to see how I can put myself through a checklist or a test to know how much vairagya have I got. It's a self-evaluation process. It's very difficult for anybody to do to you. Unless you have completely opened up your inner personality to a guru or someone, then they can help you evaluate. Otherwise, it's something which is done by oneself. Okay, Ji? Right. Thank you, Ji. Yes, Shivaji?
Hari Om.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I did apply a little bit of my thought on this, the checklist. One aspect which comes clearly is how minimalistic you are to your possessions. How minimalistic you could be.
Mhm.
The absence of something should not affect the individual. That's one of the aspects. And santosha, contentment, how content you are with what you already have. Then only there's a possibility that you could expand into the zones of spirituality, how content you are already. And non-attachment in the sense accepting the outcomes as they are. Because you can only to the extent what you can do, your actions, you should be on it. You have right only on the actions, not on the outcomes. And emotional detachment. Are we able to observe ourselves how emotionally you are attached when you react to situations, to success or failure or to praise or such things? Emotional detachment is one of the key aspects of this. And simplicity, which I brought it about in the minimalistic thing. And self-reflection and meditation is one of the key aspects for one to check the measure of one's vairagya. Of course, we have everyone to, and sticking to dharma, that your action is only aligned with the purpose that what you have set out to be. These are the points I thought, let me share it with you, which I had.
Yes, pertinent point, Shivaji. These are the points that do manifest or surface when one starts evolving. You remain more content. You are unaffected, and so on, as you said. Right. Noted. Thanks, Shivaji. So, coming back to the point which Sutiji mentioned, I'm coming back to him because he spelt it out in a way which I would look at it scientifically or logically. To measure Vairagya is measuring the strength of your desire or attachment. That's as simple as that. What is my strength of a desire or attachment? That is the correct Gayatri Ma. Vairagya is to measure one's strength of desire and attachment to the world. So the first checklist is there must be the existence of the vasana or desire in you. You cannot measure Vairagya towards a desire you don't have. For example, I can't say I have Vairagya towards alcohol. Vasantama, why can't I say I have 100% Vairagya towards alcohol?
We can say that because you don't have that desire. So when you are not having that desire, you cannot say you have a Vairagya for that.
So I never had a desire for alcohol in my entire life. So how can I test my level of attachment or desire? Or how can I claim to have a Vairagya for it? That is not a measuring tool. So I had no vasana at all for alcohol. So how can you say whether I have a detachment for it? So the first point, correct, Vasantama, I never had a desire. So first is existence of a vasana. So you can only measure your Vairagya with reference to a vasana or a desire. That is what is Vairagya. Defining Vairagya is to measure your level of desire or attachment to an object or being, for which understood you must have a desire for it. So first is there must be existence of a vasana or desire. Second is you must first of all place yourself in the marketplace. You want to measure your Vairagya, you can't measure your Vairagya by being away from the world. You must keep yourself in the marketplace. Go into the world out there, where the world is throwing full of stimuli to you. The world is throwing every possible stimuli to you, it is a stimuli that triggers the latent desire. So you must find yourself in an environment where the world throws all kinds of stimuli at you. Second point. And then when you are in the marketplace, you find out whether the object you have a desire for, is it available or not around you? First is you must have the vasana. Second is you place yourself in the marketplace where the world throws all the stimuli at you. So you can't test your Vairagya being in an ashram where you're away from the marketplace, away in the woods. You can't. You must check Vairagya in the marketplace. Because the desire only surfaces where there's a stimuli. The desires will remain dormant when there is no stimuli. So how would you know whether you have a desire? Only when the stimuli triggers the desire. Isn't it? So where does it trigger? In the marketplace. Thirdly, make sure the object of desire is available. Means you're in the right environment. Fourth, you must have the capacity to procure the object. Fifth, you must have the capacity to enjoy the object, not just procure. You must have the capacity to enjoy also. And then the sixth, you measure what is your mind's reaction towards that object. How does your mind behave with reference to that object or being? And based on that, you can give an honest assessment whether you still have a value for the object of desire, you're still attached to that object or being, or to what extent you have it, you will be able to know. And you should do this once in a while. Once in a few months, you go out into the world and see whether is there a desire, is it still there or not there. So when you do this once in 3 months, once in 6 months, in that duration or periodical, in between, that means you are working the 3 months when you are not testing yourself, you are doing spiritual sadhana. You are not in the marketplace. You are in your spiritual environment where you're trying to cultivate, get established in the higher. And once you do that, then you find the value for the lower, or the desire for the lower, keeps dropping off. Slowly, it keeps fading off slowly. And this is the way you do an honest assessment. Because as I've said, some of them have mentioned general qualities which manifest when you develop Vairagya. Like Shivaji mentioned, even Subhashji mentioned, some others also mentioned how you become more contented, more peaceful, more unaffected. These are general qualities. But you want to be specific with reference to a desire or a vasana. You need to be specific to that desire vasana. And the greater the attachment, they go last. Little minor attachments, they all disappear very soon. The deeper attachments, the stronger attachments, they go last. Upon self-realization, everything goes. So as you keep marching towards the self, all these attachments and lower desires keeps dropping off in stages. First, the grosser drop, and then the subtler attachment drops. This is how one keeps growing. And this is how you test your level of Vairagya. Yes, SR.
Yes, Guruji.
Chapandi.
Yeah, no. He understood here the answer is clear, Guruji, but the question comes to you how to practice it. No, we know the solutions. The challenge here is that how the solutions, having been known, how one can be like Shama said, no, being in the marketplace and fighting with the day-to-day issues and concerns. And one side we know that there is a possibility. One side we know that there is a solution is very clearly visible. If the solution is not there, then we'll be in an absolutely ignorant level. But here we know, but the application is missing. Like where we know knowledge, but we don't have a wisdom of putting into the practice there. It's becoming.
I always sorry, sorry, please complete.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, see, in other contexts, I've always mentioned before, there are two pedals to spiritual growth. It's like a bicycle. You imagine a bicycle and two pedals. The two pedals for spiritual growth is, one is knowledge, another is withdrawal. If you use these two pedals, you will keep traveling the spiritual journey. One is knowledge. The second is withdrawal. What most of you all are not able to practice is withdrawal from the world. Is exactly what you're mentioning. You have knowledge. You understand the knowledge. Understand that the knowledge gives a solution. But what you're not able to do is withdraw from the activities of the world and capitalize on the knowledge that you have. From the time the day begins, you're rushing into the world, and the world is like a quicksand. The more you go into it, the more you get sucked into it. Somebody else has to pull you out. But the problem is we are so deep into it, somebody is trying to pull you out, you pull that person in also.
The world is being so magnetic effect, so we want to transform from iron to wood to get detached from there.
See, enough knowledge is there. So I don't have to give knowledge to you all. So much knowledge have you got. What you need to do is withdraw from the world. Find ways and means where you can say, I don't want to be associated with this anymore. You will have to associate with the higher so that the lower loses its charm for you. It will happen, but you need to associate with the higher. And how to associate with the higher? By practicing withdrawal. So certain activities you must, I can't say for you, but you should be able to see the meaningless pursuit of it. It's a lifelong pursuit. Lifelong, you can be running behind it. How long? I got to ask myself, how long will I do it? As a kid, if somebody does that, understandable. Even after having ran all my life, I'm still running behind it. No. You know, as they say, a trademark of a youth is passion.
Yes.
You have passion for enjoyment, passion for proprietorship, passion for acquisition, passion for this, passion for that. If a child is attached to toys, understandable. If a grown-up also is attached to the toys, you say, man, grow up, man. So there has to be that serious self-questioning and say, what am I running behind? Is it worth running behind? Is it really worth it? When you start putting those serious questions, then you will take a step back and start saying, let me invest my time in something better, something wiser. This process is for every one of us to do constantly. So when we do greater the withdrawal, what happens? You have the time to go inward. The more you are out in the world, you can't practice spirituality. You can test your spirituality, how detached you are in the marketplace, but you can't grow spiritually being in the marketplace. You can only grow being away from the marketplace.
Yes, correct. Understood.
So the two pedals, jnanam and withdrawal. So when you withdraw, you can gain more knowledge. When you gain more knowledge, you can withdraw further. When you withdraw further, you can gain more knowledge. Gain more knowledge, you can withdraw further. So each helps the other. And I've always mentioned what you all are lacking is withdrawal. There's enough knowledge, real knowledge in terms of the amount of knowledge that gets pounded onto you all every week, every satsang, the amount of the essence is being given to you. Like today, we didn't even take a mantra. We're almost done 1 hour. Amount of quality reflection, the quality analysis is all there. Information is all there.
Yes.
But unless until you do it for yourself, it can't help you grow.
Got the message, Guruji.
Right. Just come and check into Wisdom Institute, surrender your phone and do nothing else. Wisdom Institute has been there. When did you check in, sir? Check in there. Dates are available, places are available. How many of you can check in and say, I want to be away from the rush and the world. I just want to sit quietly there and do my sadhana. That's all I'm saying. how often you do it. Basic necessities are there for your sadhana. Just do that, sir. No, I can do sadhana at home also. Then carry on. You can't get away from your home and your comfort zone, and you want to grow. Withdraw. Get out of that world. Opportunity is created. It's being given in a platter to you. But if one doesn't, I'm not being personal here, but if one doesn't do it, then to that extent, the growth is stunted. I'm giving a solution also to you, sir. Sorry, sir, you're muted. You're saying something.
I need to be self-challenged and kick myself to get started. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Look, sometimes, kickstart also is required, no? In mechanical engineering, they say, no, kickstart.
Auto switch is not working, then we have to kickstart.
Kickstart. So we will do spiritual kickstarts. We'll do.
Yes, that's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, Setuji. Most welcome, sir. Yeah.
Guruji, what you said is very true. But in addition to that, what I feel is this doing mananam converts knowledge to wisdom, and then the lower slowly drops off. Because as wisdom seeps in and we start this thing. See, earlier I had a lot of affinity for food, fried food and snacks and all. The moment health sets in, I should be healthy, be active and all that, then this dropped off. Even in spite of availability and all that. So,
sir, I'm sorry, since you spoke about fried food, can I clarify, sir?
yes.
Can I comment, sir, please? With your permission, I'll comment. You're not saying yes.
Yes, Guru. Yeah.
Vasantama, yesterday Setuji came to the center. He spent a couple of hours, and in front of him there was a bowl of murku. 70% of the bowl was finished.
No, I left 30%. No? Earlier, I used to take.
There you go. So earlier, even the 30% was finished. So 30% was left. That is this level of Vairagya. So this is how is correct. Now you tell me the reality at home, Vasantama.
The whole day, that's the first time I was eating. Otherwise, earlier I used to eat morning, afternoon, evening. So
that I did. That I did not know. No. So now thanks for clarifying, Setuji. Yes, Vasantama.
He has improved, Guruji, a lot.
No, I know. I'm just joking.
The other day about the vada pav, Guruji. He's doing a lot of sadhana.
No, I'm just joking. So, certainly, this is how, as I said, you are able to put yourself to test in situations like this. Very much so.
I want to tell Guruji, withdrawing happens even if we renouncement happens with the time, but we have to do mananam, or we have to if not early morning, even in the day, all it happens, but maybe slowly, but it does happen.
Sir, please don't compromise. Mananam has to be done Brahma Muhurtam. Reddy Garu, the least you can do sadhana is don't miss 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. The least sadhana. Rest of the day you do what you want to do. But 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. don't miss at any cost. That will enthuse you to intensify your withdrawal. That will keep your inspiration alive. It will in fact increase your inspiration. But if you don't do the early morning swadhyaya, it's a matter of time you will drop out. And I will not be surprised if any one of you keep dropping off, because it's not my business, it is your business to be in the spiritual field. If you drop off, it's because you're not doing sadhana. I will carry on doing what I'm doing. But you, if you want to be associated with this knowledge or this satsang, you will have to do tapas. That is the least tapas all of you can do. Being in your own marketplace, being in your own homes and comfort zone. Then comes the next step. You can sky is the limit to what extent you can intensify. But an important point you all want to note, Harish, you also spoke about abstinence, isn't it, Harish? You know, one of the important points, Harish, to keep in mind when you practice withdrawal or abstinence, you know, can you mention, since you thought of it, can you tell me what is the important point here? As a precautionary note, you are always cautioned when you practice abstinence or withdrawal. What's the precautionary note?
The precautionary, I mean, from what we had, from the lectures, Guruji, you said that we must have a desire, sorry.
No, gather your thoughts, no hurry,
Yeah.
gather your thoughts. The question
If
I'm
we
saying
have-
is,
Yes.
just trying to help you to regather your thoughts. The question we are asking is, you spoke of abstinence from the world. We reiterated by saying one has to practice withdrawal. When you're practicing abstinence from the world, which is nothing but withdrawing from the world, what is that you need to be cautious about?
I'm not sure, Guruji.
Fair enough, no problem. Yes, Gayatri ma'am?
Guruji, usually once when somebody is withdrawing, they literally go into the tamasic mode, like that's what usually when we are self-evaluating that happens. So we need to push yourself to go into the marketplace. In the name of withdrawal, they don't move around and do everything. So they become tamasic.
No, an interesting observation, but contrary to withdrawal, then you're again going into rajas, no?
No, when you have done the sadhana and other things, you have that sufficient energy within you. And when you don't go out into the market to work, and when you're doing that karma, bhakti, jnana, you can bring in that spirituality into it. But complete withdrawal brings into, slowly they start withdrawing and they say, tamasic they become sometimes, unless your spiritual level is very high. When you're spiritually very much high, then it's altogether a different thing. But in the process, that happens.
So I get what you're saying. So there's a possibility you might slip into inaction. That's where we checkmate it, no? You're withdrawing only to do sadhana.
Yes.
So that sadhana ensures you're not slipping into tamas. But mere withdrawal without supplementing with knowledge is tamas.
Only withdrawal means that it will again give to frustration also inside.
Correct. Correct. So the point which I was trying to highlight is, you must be cautious so that it doesn't lead you to frustration. So when you withdraw beyond your capacity, it leads you to frustration. you get mentally agitated. Paresh, are you able to note the point there? You get the point?
Yes, Guruji.
What did you write down?
I wrote down that your question, Guruji, is what is that we need to be cautioned about? That it should not lead to any frustration that can create mental agitation.
When does it get, when do you develop frustration or agitation through withdrawal? When you're withdrawn beyond your capacity. When you are withdrawn beyond your capacity, your desire is not met. No, you're not able to satisfy your desire. Your desire is taking you out into the world. If I take you away from the world and put you up in a, lock you up in an ashram, a beautiful environment, but the end result is you're away from the world. How long can you be away from the world? That is depends on the strength of your desire. So your desire will push you out into the world to enjoy, to contact the world. So the more you are away from the world, and when you don't have the capacity to withhold the desire starts rushing out, the mind starts rushing out into the world, you develop mental frustration, agitation. Now, if this continues, what do you become? If this frustration continues, what do you become? You become a hypocrite. You put on the garb of spirituality, but mentally indulging, you put on a false garb. You are not a true Vairagya. You've got to be watchful. So real spirituality is to fight with the desires. And as you know, a vasana or desire can either be exhausted through knowledge or experience. So if you have to go and experience it, let us go experience and get rid of it, man. If I have to experience it, like Vasanta says, vada pav, she reminded. Once in 3 months, you have to eat vada pav. Go and eat vada pav and get rid of it. No, why am I talking Vairagya when I can't control the vasana for vada pav? Example only, yeah. So the more you keep away from the object of desire, you develop frustration. And in the name of spirituality, you carry on, you become a hypocrite. So don't do that. When you have reached a threshold of not able to contain the desire, go gracefully out into the world. But when you go with knowledge, with caution, you say, I am only going into experience not for enjoyment, but I want to get rid of my desire. I'm not able to keep away from the world because I have the vasana, my purva karma, I've got vasana. Now I want to get rid of it. So what do? I carefully use experience also to get rid of my vasana. So you withdraw to deal with knowledge, exhaust the desire. I repeat, you withdraw to deal your desires with knowledge. When you can't deal with withdrawal and knowledge, you go into experience only to get rid of the desire. Not for indulgence, but you say, I want to exhaust my desire. It is a pain. I don't want to grow out of it. So you either use knowledge or experience. The objective is I want to get rid of my desire. I want to get rid of my desire. It's such a complicated science, I tell you. It's such a intricate science. It's such a, and if you don't follow it scientifically, it can cause serious consequences. Yes, Harish?
Guruji, in this specific context, if somebody has a desire or vasana, for example, gambling or smoking, for example, and with knowledge, they're not able to withdraw from the need and desire for gambling or smoking, then the next step is to experience it. But some experiences are very detrimental to eliminate the desire. So, for example, if one went to a casino and he gambled away $500,000 and he loses the money, that experiences would have costed him a lifetime of savings, just that experience itself. So how do we navigate this experience where it's not going to be detrimental, even though we want to drop it?
That's when, through proper guidance, you will switch the avenue of indulgence, which many people do. Through New Year resolutions, when people take New Year resolutions to get rid of, drop certain desires, they may have successfully dropped. But what they have successfully done is they have replaced that indulgence with something else. So in effect, they have not dropped, but they have replaced it with some other avenue. So a guru or a guide will help you pick up another avenue of indulgence where you don't frustrate your mind, but you're allowed to indulge in a safe zone. For example, you will be told, eat vada pav once in a week rather than 3 months. Eat, then going and gambling. This example, since I've used the example, I'm just giving comparatively. There's a danger there going there, man. Don't go into that. It's okay, you indulge here. Let your mind indulge in other interests so that the frustration of not giving into this will not get to you. So you are told, do things which are relatively safer so that you'll see indulgence. What it does is, remember, indulgence equals pressure release. When you indulge in any enjoyment, the pressure building gets released. When you don't contact, what happens? The frustration slowly starts building. If example, you took an example of smoker. If a smoker smokes in a day, if he smokes 5 cigarettes a day, and imagine if he's taking a long flight, he's traveling 20 hours, transiting, and there's no chance, even there was no smoking room in the transit area for him. So he is forced not to smoke for 20 hours. For a person who smokes 5 cigarettes a day and is addicted to it, what will happen to him, Harish?
His frustration will increase tremendously.
Tremendously. So he needs to that's what I'm saying. You need to be mindful of that withdrawal where it gets to you. So instead of knowing that I'll be away from smoking, perhaps he will have to buy some chewing gums or something which he keeps chewing in and gives into some of the desire of his. So that frustration is temporarily addressed. Otherwise, he can't. You get it?
Yes, I also heard about having the chewing gum for the smokers on the flight, or putting nicotine patches, or even drinking orange juice. There have been a lot of studies on this. I mean, just for reference, that there's for temporary curtailment of the.
They're temporary. There's not a solution.
Guruji, also, while we're on the subject, we're talking about Vairagya. We made some points earlier.
I
Can we
appreciate
also-
you got that word right.
Yeah, I was very mindful. I've highlighted it to make sure I break it down in 3 syllables so I don't miss it. I've actually consciously done this.
You're getting there. You're getting there. Sorry.
No, so is it also fair to say that one of the avenues to succeed in this area is let us experience it, but let's not linger in it and just move on after the experience. So don't linger after that experience or that event. So is that also one of the withdrawal symptoms, just passing through and that's the end of it?
That's what you need to do when you go through experience. When you have no choice but to experience, what do you do is this. See, usually what is done, people see what are the 3 things that we do before, while, after. You remember the concept, we understand what we do before an experience, what do we do while we are experiencing, what is usually done after the experience. Before the experience, there is a craving. While you're experiencing, there is indulging. After the experience, there is lingering. There's craving. There is indulging, a licentious indulge. After the experience, there is lingering. Craving, indulging, lingering. All these 3 will stop, or you curtail all these 3 when you use experience to exhaust the desire. I'm glad you brought this up, Harish. So these 3 you wouldn't do. So what actually increases the desire is these 3, not experience. Mark my words, what actually strengthens or increases the desire is craving, indulging, lingering. It's not the actual experience. I may go into experience and come out. That doesn't increase my desire. But it is the constant instilling of thought through craving, indulging, lingering. All 3 is mental. All these 3 actually strengthens the desire. Craving is mental, indulging is mental, certainly to a certain extent physical as well, and lingering is mental. So these 3 exercises do the damage. The spiritual damage is done through these 3, not the actual experience. So you take care of these 3, you're good. Right, Harish? So taking up Soumyama's suggestion, Setuji recently had gone to Rishikesh and he has done some thorough research. We will plan the next retreat, wisdom retreat in Rishikesh. No, I'm not joking. I'm very serious when I say that, because he had recently been there, and then as what he does so diligently, he just went about surveying, inquiring, giving all the information, all possibilities. So there's certainly a possibility that we all can, instead of spending some time in a resort, we can spend the time in that spiritual atmosphere. So whatever we do is going to raise the level of our spiritual elevation, because the whole atmosphere, being at the banks of the the river Ganges and being in an ashram atmosphere, all of that would go a long way. So let's plan for that. So Raghu Garu, moment the dates come, first enrollment must be by you. Got it? Because you say so. I hope you are not telling for us to visit. You must be a part of it. Yes, sir. Please try now.
Yeah, Guruji. Hari Om Guruji. Actually, I
Yes.
stayed in Rishikesh for 2.5 months.
Good.
The streets and full of Gita Mandir is very nice. And there is a Telugu ashram run by old couple. I don't know whether they died or still there. That Telugu ashram is nearby Gita Triveni Ghat. And very.
You should liaise with Setuji, and then we will have a clear roadmap of getting there, sir. Okay.
Definitely. Rishikesh is a very, I extremely enjoyed my presence there for 2 months. Total life transformation kind of.
Absolutely. Very true. Absolutely. So we'll make it happen sometime soon next year. Okay.
Sure.
Right. Thank you. All right. So we'll continue. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.